Uh-oh. We're going live this way.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Works for me.
Okay. Should you straighten it up? Is the camera a little crooked or we good?
Hey, guys.
We're winging
We're a
it.
little crooked. Live is going to be the way it is. We have struggled to get videos up, but I want you to hear this. We've got some pretty big news articles that came out, and the first one was about eye drops. We've had some pretty bad experiences with eye drops, me and Stacey. And pull up the eye drop news article. This is the CDC issues alert after 3 people die.
Yep.
And 4 people have had their eyeballs removed.
Yep. In addition to that,
This is a big deal.
people are losing their vision.
And this is only the ones we know of. Mm-hmm. And let me, for the people that I hate to. Hey guys, I'm having trouble reading the chats, but I'll get to them in a minute. 3 people have died, and 4 people have had eyeballs removed after using eye drops linked to drug-resistant bacterial disease. Mm-hmm. The names of the eye drops are Ezra Care, Artificial Tears, and Delsum Pharma's Artificial Tears. So Ezra Care and Delsum.
Yep.
I know a lot of people use eye drops. We used to use some, and it would make our vision blurry later. And she has too with, what was it?
Well, when you have lupus, Sjogren's comes right along with it, and it affects your mouth and your eyes, and also I've had eye surgery, so I have to use eye drops. If not, I will wake up in the morning sometime, and my eyes are like sealed shut, which if you guys have ever done that, you know it's a pain in the butt trying to open your eyes. So I have to, but I have to be very careful. And I had gotten some eye drops one time, and I'd say, Chris was saying, oh, my eyes are dry, and I'm like, hey, use this, because this is what I got. And after he used them, he's like, man, I'm so fuzzy, it's so hazy.
Yeah, so.
And it was messing up our vision.
So check on your parents, your grandparents, anybody that uses eye drops. Ezra Care and Delsum, that's the names for the people that are just getting on here. And
go ahead. They're saying around 68 patients right now have been identified. But you guys, we have no idea how many people have actually faced this, because sometimes you think something happens and you're not really sure what to attribute it to unless you start narrowing things out. And before we go any further, you guys, we've really tried hard to work on the mics this last day or two to try to get our sound better. So give us a thumbs up if our mics are any better.
That's for real.
But anyways, I'm going to give you some of the symptoms, and these are kind of generic symptoms, which are kind of scary because this could affect a lot more people than what you think. Symptoms include yellow, green, or clear discharge, eye pain or discomfort, redness of the eye or eyelid, feeling of something that is in your eye, like a foreign body sensation, increased sensitivity to light, and blurry vision. So that's scary because, man, when it messes with your eye, that
freaks me out.
Yeah, that does. That's very, very. So you guys, just one more thing to pay attention. Look what's in your medicine cabinet.
Check your people that use eye drops.
Yep.
This is happening. Thunderdome news for real.
Yep.
All kind of pestilence and bacterias, and who knows? Who knows where those eye drops are actually manufactured as well?
True, and the scary thing is they probably had an FDA approval at some point.
Oh,
that's
I'm sure,
scary.
yeah. Well, the CDC's supposed to be watching that stuff, but you can't trust them.
Nope.
But here's the next story. The whales are washing up on New York and New Jersey beaches wholesale. There's been 25 whales washing up, and they're pointing the fingers, check this out, at the windmill farms that are offshore that actually do generate electricity after they're government subsidized and funded. And, we're in the environment now where whoever worships the ESGism god the most, the O worshipful master of the green weenies, is ESGism. And, they're pushing all this, what do we call it? Green energy that's unreliable energy.
Well, it's because I think a lot of people, they're getting these subsidies, they're getting these grants. This is a $26 million project. So based on this, a lot of people have come forward and said, because they kept in well after well, I think as of December the 1st, it was 25 that were confirmed dead. So I don't know since then, maybe. So they're like, wait a minute, we got to put a stop to this project.
25 animals since December
the 1st. Have been. So I don't know since then if there have been other ones, but I couldn't find any more. But I know they said we have to put a stop at this project, which was $26 million. So they said, since we're going to have to put a stop on this project, then we're going to need to do additional testing to see what was causing this, which is going to cause more money. Where that's going to come from? Taxpayer funds.
Oh, yeah. It's just going to make, they're going to spend more money. They're going to throw more of your money at it, just like they're doing to the banks right now.
Right.
It's just,
But But apparently this same kind of research, this similar wind-related whatever, has been also done from Maine all the way to South Carolina. So this isn't the first one. But for some reason, you were mentioning the other day when you used to go fishing, how you would notice when certain things would explain what you were telling me about.
Okay, so this is interesting. It could possibly be the electricity and all the iron and stuff that's in the water is messing up their sonar, their direction. I don't know, it messes them up. Because there used to be a flatbill, they call them spoonbill catfish, and every time I would get around a lock or a dam in my bass boat when I used to fish a lot, I don't do any of that anymore. But every time I would see these flatbill catfish or spoonbill catfish that I would never see normally. You never see them, but they were always dead around these
spillways, dams.
Yeah, dams and locks. And it has to do with the structures in the water, sonar. I'm not really sure. But there's something obviously going on that the green winnies are, this is their baby. Now they're going to have to throw more money at it. It's just one more thing.
That they're going to throw money at.
Yeah.
So speaking of money and all that kind of stuff, let's talk about a little bit more. Talking about money. Just one real quick thing. This isn't necessarily a big earth-shattering, topic, but I think it does have trickle-down effects. They're talking about malls. Malls are once again, the mid-level malls are once again in jeopardy. A lot of debts are coming due, and as you guys all know, if you do any kind of research on malls, they're basically built on debt. There's very little equity involved. It's all pretty much debt. Renting these properties, are we messing up? So renting these properties, you've got leases involved. I was even asking Chris, I said, do you even remember the last time you went to a mall, a real mall, not a mall that was one of those outdoor shopping centers, a real mall where you walked in, everything was enclosed, you had the carousel for the kids, you had the food court and all that kind of stuff. Nobody goes to them anymore. I think the last time I went was about a year ago. And the last time I went, it was more dental offices, law offices, more than shopping centers. So they are saying they're about to have another shakedown. Now, here's where I think, okay, so what? Malls are going to close. But I think where it comes down to that is it's going to affect the banks, because now all of a sudden we're going to have loans that aren't going to be paid. Then it's going to affect the creditors. Then it's going to affect the investors. And then you're going to have a trickle-down effect. So I think that's something to just kind of keep watching. We've talked about that before. These commercial properties, they're going to go for like $0. I mean, if no one's renting, they can't do the loans. So I think it's a trickle-down effect. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Malls are a way of the past. They have been dying for a long time, and
Mid-range.
I cannot believe they've been open this long. Makes me immediately think of Bed Bath & Beyond.
Yep.
Who didn't see that coming? But a lot of times, these very intelligent people, like Blockbuster, they couldn't see it. Blockbuster was struggling. Netflix and all this stuff just completely wiped out Blockbuster. And what they did is they started selling candy and stuff like that to try to make up the revenue at Blockbuster. But they got wiped out anyway. This is, the malls are not long for this world. What are we going to do with those spaces? Maybe they'll be barter town. Maybe that'll be the barter town in the Thunderdome. Hit the like button if you know what I'm talking about.
A lot of people have said maybe there'll be apartment complexes or assisted livings, and I just think that's going to affect the commercial industry because there's a lot of debt in those malls. But speaking of debt,
yeah, no doubt,
and all that kind of stuff, let's go to the next headline.
That we've got. The banks.
Talk about banks a little bit again.
Bailing out banks, man.
Yeah, so I'm having to use my computer today, so sorry I had my notes, so bear with me. I'm kind of reaching back and forth.
Thank you, Freedom for All. Social Security now will only pay out at 67.
Oh, wow. I doubt I even see Social Security, what I've ever paid into it. So
I think we'll all see Social Security.
In the form of UBI.
Well, that's how politicians vote themselves in. It's going to be a very unpopular sell to say, okay, hey, by the way, you're not going to get your Social Security. They're going to print the money up to pay, to reelect themselves. And
very well could be
67 more reason to exercise. That's true.
Well, talking about banks again. So we've mentioned how banks FDIC has come in or whatever. Well, the First Republic Bank, the FDIC did not come in, as we've talked about before. All these other banks kind of came in and gave them money and said, hey, this is like going to say, get you guys hopefully by. Well, you guys, that is not happening. And I'm interested because I want to see what happens to this bank. If other banks have stepped in and they still cannot survive, they're down 90% in the last, since the first of this year, 90%. They're down in the single digits for 3 weeks straight with their stock market. I mean, their stock market, you look at right now, it has plummeted.
Yeah.
I mean, the stocks, sorry,
So
stocks.
the government's going to backstop all banks, I guess. That's what they're doing at the moment. And, and I've actually taken some notes about exactly how this is going to affect us. How's it going to affect our kids and our grandkids, and what is actually going on? I really want to wrap my mind around this and try to think through it. That's what I do is I see a problem and I try to really understand it. And if I'm right, this is exactly what's happening. Now, bear with me. The Fed is supposed to turn over their profits to the Treasury to reduce the deficit or pay down the debt. Okay? That's what they're supposed to do. Well, the Fed can't just print money, currency. They have to have an asset to reflect every liability. So that equals treasuries and mortgages, mortgage-backed securities. Now, the profits are the interest that those treasury bonds that they buy with counterfeited money. That's the profits. Well, okay, the Fed buys mortgage-backed securities and treasuries. These assets pay interest. All right, that's how it's supposed to work. Yeah, Deutsche Bank, they're having issues as well.
They are, including the Credit Suisse.
So now where does the interest payment go? Where does the interest payment come from? It comes from you, your children, your grandchildren, in the form of future tax payments and your future mortgage payments. See, instead of the Treasury getting the profits, the banks are. The banks are getting free, unadulterated, really good, strong money straight to their bottom line. Bam! Here you go, bank. No problem. We got you covered. Now the Treasuries have to issue more bonds to make up the difference, issue more debt. So
We basically pay for it.
we are going to pay.
We are.
This started a long time ago.
It did.
You know,
It did.
and now we're starting to see the result of this free money. Everybody wants free money. Nobody wants to go through a correction, but nobody wants inflation. Well, when you bail out banks and you stimulate, give them money to cover their crap loans and whatever they're into, that leaches out into the economy, and we're going to pay it back through the unfriendly form of inflation. It's just there's no way around it, and we read the news, oh, another bank failed. It just sounds like old news.
Right.
But it should infuriate
Yes.
you that they're robbing you. They're robbing your future, your purchasing power. It's theft. Literally like them pointing a gun at your head and taking your money. That's what's happening. And it is disgusting, and it's going to ruin this country. And what do? Write your congressman, right? I think that does little.
Well, unfortunately, they're within the bed with most of them. I mean, when you look at what the banks are doing, when we just talked about the other day, the Silicon Valley, before they closed down, all the loans they were giving out to the insiders. They got loan after loan after loan. Now there's an investigation, but what happens? They got great money at a low interest rate, and what are they going to do? I mean, so yeah, it's a lot of scams going on behind there, and we're the ones paying it.
And now she's about to talk about the real estate.
Well, just whenever we talk, so we
debacle.
we start talking about interest rates, and we talk about the banks and all this, so let's talk about the home prices.
Yeah, because go ahead, but the cost of home ownership has surged 71% over the past 3 years. Why is that?
Yep.
Why did that happen? Because of low interest rates. That's how they stimulate. They run the interest rates down, and people buy a house that's too big for them anyway. And I hope these people don't have arms, but I'm going to go ahead and let you get into that.
No, we were just talking about it because we've openly said before we did. Now we were able to get it for a good price, the home we bought, but we bought a house that was too big for us, and we're like, come on, we downsized, and we just learned how to live within our means. I think a little bit learning that lesson. But a lot of these people, they're buying just a little bit more than they can afford. We were fortunate when he got laid off. We lived beyond our means. We had money set aside. We were fine, but it was still a wake-up call for me. I'll never forget that day he came in and he said, this is personal. He said, Stacey, I don't know when I'm going back to work. And I'm sitting there looking, going, okay, we have a 3,000 square, what was almost 3,000 square foot house. And I'm like, yes, we've put money aside, but do you know how fast those savings funds go? As we're talking right now, everybody's dipping into their savings. And I looked at him and I said, never again. Never. We're fine right now. How long can this last? But I will never be put in this position again. And I'm looking at these stats and I'm going, Cost of ownership has surged 71%. The cost in 3 years, you guys, 3 years. And the interesting thing is compared to an average of rent. So the rent has only grown 6.3%. And he and I were talking about that. The whole time we own our rental properties, we never once raised rent on our renters. And we were told you could if you wanted to, but we did not do that. So as a result, the premium that owners are paying over renters is now wider than since it has been in the third quarter of 2006. And just kind of wrap your head around that for a little bit. That's when the market started to crash with the housing market around 2006 to 2008. Once again, we're seeing that spread. People have overbought on homes. They bought at the top of the market. They have interest rates that, well, if they lose their job or they miss one or two payments, they're screwed. They have one medical bill. First thing they're going to do is let their car go, and we've talked about that before. And so I think this is something to kind of watch. Go ahead.
No, I'm listening. I agree. This housing collapse, and guys, there's been famous YouTubers that are that have bought a house at the top of the market that have finance channels. The masses have moved into housing at the very tippy top. They're not even getting settled in good, and they're fixing to get hammered because a lot of them fell for the trickery of, hey, we'll get you in at this lower interest rate, and if it goes up, it'll go up. But they con you into it, and I think that adjustable mortgage rate is such crap.
Well, a lot of people,
it is a joke.
They don't think they exist anymore, but they do. I talked to 2 or 3 lenders here about 2 months ago, and he said the spike in ARMs had gone way up because interest rates were creeping up, and so those ARMs had come up. Now, right now, you got a year or two maybe before those notes change and those interest rates grow up, but they can call those due, and there's little fine line prints that people don't realize all the time. So I don't know. I'm paying attention to this. We'll see kind of what happens. I'm always looking at the housing market.
And we're gonna do. I really want to see a bunch of people get into rental properties. I would love you guys to experience what we did. It was really fun. Now,
I can't wait to do it again.
Most of you know. For the people that don't know, we sold our rental proproperties.
Except
we kept
for one.
We kept one. The older couple that was in it's just really good people, and I wanted to keep one.
But it's paid for.
We've sold 90% of them because of this. Because and it was hard for me to sell them. I did not want to sell my retirement plan, part of my retirement plan. But as you see food prices, as you see interest rates going up, as you see, everything unfold.
People be getting laid off, jobs being lost.
Yeah, and all we would have had to miss is 2 or 3 rents, and we would have been in the red. And you're not going to do very good if you have a poor credit score going into the Thunderdome.
Right.
Because there's going to be some crazy swings. We're already seeing it. So the next time, when they start to stimulate and do all that garbage, and they lower the interest rates, whatever they do, we'll be ready to start mopping up on rental properties because there's going to be a lot of people that lose their homes and cars.
Okay, I hate that term. Let's
What?
rephrase it, mopping up.
Mopping up.
Going to try to help people that are in really bad situations, hopefully save their credit. We can help them get out of debt. That term, sorry. I just don't like that because I don't want it sounds like that we're just, well, you know how I feel about that. So I want it to say that we're going to.
Somebody has to buy the properties. If there is nobody buying
Okay, let's
the
just maybe
properties,
rephrase the
the
term.
Government buys them.
They do, and we
it.
want to be there to buy them, but we
Somebody's
want to
got to
help
be
someone.
solvent to
True.
help.
True.
I'm serious. That is the way it works.
I agree. Just the terminology. Maybe I kind of cringe.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I don't want anybody to go. But at the same time, I don't have new cars. I don't have new this, that, and the other. I don't have a bunch of student loans. I don't have, I don't owe a bunch of people. So, the cards are stacked in that person's favor.
I agree. I completely agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I get my jeans off eBay and my clothes at Ross.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We've
made those choices so that we're in a position to help people. Not just, and that's what we hope we can do one of these days. Yeah. I really do. I really do. I hope that person that is really struggling and they're underwater and they've made some bad choices because they weren't taught they didn't learn the lessons that we learned. They didn't bother to educate themselves. I hope we can step up and go, hey, you guys, we're willing to get you out of this situation. Lesson learned. Now go learn what we've learned. And don't do this mistake again. That's what I really hope.
Yeah, me too. I do too. So, it's going to be, that's what this channel's about.
Speaking of that, though, and preparing and doing all that kind of stuff, talk to them about the cattle stuff, because we just got our cow delivered before we left for a few days.
Okay, yes. And anybody that reached out to Miss Melody, let me know if you did. Miss Melody, she's the one that raises our cow for us. We had a calf. We usually have a calf and a half delivered every year. And it's just a
blessing.
Such a blessing to have a couple of freezers slap full of meat that you can eat all year. You can give it to friends and family. It's really good. She had 6 left, and I don't know if she does anymore. You'll have to go back to the last video or the last video. Then I put the number in the comments. So she had 6 left. I doubt she has any left now, but she was willing to deliver if you're within 80 to 100 miles of
El Dorado, Arkansas.
So you can check that out, but the U.S. cattle inventory forecast falls to the lowest level in nearly a decade. Now, this is after we saw droughts.
Yep.
We saw grain shortages. You know, we saw, I know they were straight up just shooting cows in Mexico.
We had a lot of people that we knew were bringing them straight over from Texas and Oklahoma and bringing them to Arkansas, some of the slaughterhouses over there, trying to get them slaughtered as fast as they could. Yeah. So they were saying right now, some of the beef people that we've talked to, the cattle people, they're saying there is an influx right now of beef. So that's great. It does not look like there's a shortage. They said, but they are no longer, because of the drought, because they had to kill a lot of their stock, that there is going to be less next year. So right now, yeah, it looks like there's plenty. The slaughterhouses are full. You're having to book 6 months in advance. But initially, a year from now, they're saying that there is potentially, we look like there is going to be a shortage.
I'm not going to read all this. I just want to read you the quotes real quick. Total red meat and poultry production in 2023 is forecasted to decrease for the first time in nearly a decade. The USDA said it's biannual livestock, dairy, and poultry outlook released in early March. This is a quote, guys, this is due to 6% decline in beef production that more than offsets forecast and increased pork 2%, broiler meat, which is chickens, 1%, and turkey 7% production. The report said dwindling cattle production would likely cause a significant year-over-year decrease in the beef production. The first decline since 2015. So protein is going to be expensive in the Thunderdome, guys. That's why we did we're going to name the pond, but
he named it,
Protein Plan B
that's
is
not
its
what we're
name
going
right
with.
now. But
No.
Stacey wants to name it something
name
else.
it. Hey, you guys, give me some ideas. I'm naming the pond. We're going to see what it's going to come out to be.
Okay, name the pond.
Name
That'd
the
be
pond
cool.
for me.
But the chickens was the first protein plan.
Right.
And you need 1 is none, 2 is 1, and 3 is where you want to be.
True.
So the pond is going to produce fish, a lot of them, more than we can eat. And it's an obvious.
We can feed the chickens, the dogs, the cats, us. Yeah.
And they're supposed to reproduce so much, you're supposed to keep almost everything. If you catch them at a certain size, we can just feed those to the chickens. So it should really work out. But like I say, always, protein is hard to come by. When we're out of town and we're, protein is always hard.
It
and
is.
It's expensive.
Oh, my goodness, it is.
It's expensive and it's hard to come by. And
Yes.
It's going to be the same way in the Thunderdome. It takes a lot of money
Speaking
to
of protein, whenever we go to restaurants, these restaurants, if you guys notice lately, the protein that they serve is like very minimum, to the point where he has to ask and pay for extra protein everywhere we go. He almost has to order 2 entrees just to get the amount of protein, or he has to come home and eat protein.
Yeah, it's a bummer to go out and eat and then go home and have to cook.
Yeah.
Because you
don't get enough
because
protein.
your portion of chicken was that big or whatever. It's like, they try to do fillers. They fill you up on fat and carbs, and they don't really give you the really good sustenance you need. But anyway,
I got one more last story.
and this last story comes from a lady that's been telling me the TV's been watching me for years.
This lady sitting beside.
If you know her background, you'll know. But she's right. So check it out.
No, it's just I've been saying for years, and people would look at me like I was crazy. I'm like, hey, you guys, I'm telling you, we're being monitored. We're being looked at in little ways that you just don't even think of. Well, because I used to actually put those things some places. But anyway, ever since we started working from home, because the COVID happened and everybody started working from home, well, people were kind of slacking off apparently. So now you're working from home. It's a question mark smile, because you're probably being monitored on camera. And here's some interesting stats. So more than 1 in 3 employees use live camera feeds to keep tabs on remote workers. So employers are actually activating the cameras, and they're keeping live feed on what you're doing. They're promoting some to quit while others are just simply getting fired. And they're talking about how the ways that they're doing them. It says they're monitoring your web app usage. They're blocking contents and apps on your computer. They're tracking attention via biometrics. They're capturing screenshots. They're logging keystrokes. And it's live video feed that they are actually monitoring you. And I kind of chuckled when I first read it because I'm like, we're working from home, and a lot of people were laughing, saying I got a shirt on and I got PJs on the bottom or whatever. But it's proved that there is actually ways to track and look at you while you're in your own home. That's what I always said. We can never have a TV in our bedroom. I refuse to put a TV in the bedroom.
It's going to be shocking when people find out how many of their apps on their phone have been watching and recording and all that stuff, because I watched a guy develop an app, and you had to go through and sign on, and you click the box and you agree to this, that, and the other, and nobody reads it. Well, as soon as he got through doing that, he turned the lady's camera on, and she was like, "Whoa!" So yeah, I can see what you're doing right here. And she's, "How you doing this?" She's like, "Well, you signed off on it.
Yep.
You gave me permission on this app." And it immediately made me think of TikTok, where they're doing the same thing, and they give that information to the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. And this is legit. This isn't me making it up. It's in there.
Yep.
Just read the TikTok disclaimer, and it's all there. It's really odd, but
it's happening.
Yeah, it's happening, and this isn't hyperbole.
No.
This isn't me just whooping up something to say on YouTube.
Right.
This is absolutely happening. So play your cards close to you, and just know there's somebody on the other side trying to get everything you got.
Yep.
And they want total control.
Well, before we go, I want to say thank you guys for being so patient with me this past couple of days. I've been very limited in work, I know, and you guys have been so amazing. And I know Miles Franklin has been completely backed up. I know you guys have tried to reach them, and they've reached back out to me saying they've been unable to help you guys, because I've only been working a few hours every morning. So thank you guys so much. I will tell you, we are logging off until 2:30 tomorrow when I get back on the airplane. I will switch my laptop back on, but we're going to go and have some time together, and Monday morning, it'll be back to the grind. It'll be work as usual. But we're going to see you guys, I guess, sometime tomorrow afternoon when I log back onto the computer.
Yeah, it'll be head down after that. Yeah. So, guys, thank you so much for being here. I wish if I had my computer in front of me, I could read the comments, but I could just get a glimpse of them.
We'll go back and read them.
You guys are awesome. Hitting the like button, leaving comments. You're salt of the earth. Have an awesome, awesome day. We'll see you in the next one. Later. Okay, there we go. See, guys.